Hey, what's up, VC? It's Steve again, Harmless Rebel, and this is my response to Chad's Record Store Day contest. His channel is therandom1369, and I'll put a link down here-ish to his channel. Check him out. Shows a lot of metal, every genre of metal, or every subgenre of metal, pretty much. A little bit of country, a little bit of alternative, just a really good mix of music, a really good channel. So he wanted us to show some stuff that we've picked up at past record store days, or share a story from record store day, or talk about some stuff from this upcoming record store in the next couple of weeks that we're looking forward to. So I decided to do a little bit of each. Why not? I've actually picked up so much stuff at record store days over the years to show it all would be a whole series of videos. Actually, if you go through my channel, I'm sure you can find 3 or 4 record store day videos to look at. So I just chose 3 or 4 that I was really happy to get and that came to mind immediately when Chad put up this contest. So the first thing was from the Black Friday, the last record store day that we had, and it was the Judas Priest. Let's see if I can do something about this. It was the Judas Priest 10-inch. This is basically 5 songs that were not on there. Basically, cuts that didn't make their last record. It's on really nice red vinyl. I was really excited to get this. I didn't buy the CD for this Judas Priest album to get those extra tracks, so I love the fact that they decided to put together this 10-inch, putting those on vinyl for us fans that prefer vinyl. Another one that I was really happy to get a hold of was this bad boy. Typo Negative, Slow, Deep, and Hard. I actually think this was from Black Friday too. And this one is on translucent yellow or yellowish green vinyl. I'm a big Typo Negative fan, so when I found out that they were re-releasing this for Record Store Day, I was really happy. They had actually re-released it for the prior Record Store Day, and I wasn't able to get a copy, and the people that bought the extra copies were selling them for outrageous prices, and I'm glad I didn't pay one of those prices because I ended up picking this one up for just over 20 bucks at the last record store day. So another one, and it's one of those albums that everybody either loves or hates, or loves to hate. You know, and I've shown this before. Although I can't stand the direction the band went, I thought this album was pretty groundbreaking and just an amazing album, to say the least. And this was Korn. Again, it's just from the last. Actually, all of these I'm showing are from the Black Friday. I didn't even plan it that way. And this one is on the Coke bottle colored vinyl. And none of these are black vinyl either, which is something else I didn't plan for. And then last but not least, this is one I was super excited to get for a couple of reasons. They did a regular release of this last year, and you know, you could buy this album for almost a year without much problem. You know, maybe 6 to 8 months without much problem. And I just kept putting it off and just never got it. And I remember I finally went in to go pay for it, and they had just sold the last copy, so I was pretty upset not to get it. And then I was on the Facebook page, the record company's Facebook page, and the owner of the company mentioned, hey, we have 10 promo copies of that limited to 300 albums. And we're going to put those up at midnight for Record Store Day. And I was on at midnight refreshing the page until I could buy this. And this is the Vengeance Rising Human Sacrifice promo picture disc. I'm not a fan of picture discs, but this picture disc sounds amazing. This has become one of my all-time favorite thrash albums. Just an amazing, amazing album. And you can see right there, it's got the marked promo. And then on the card that comes with it, it says promo out of 300. According to Bill from Rocks, there were 25 promos made. 15 of those were sent to media outlets. The other 10 were put up for that Record Store Day event. So I thought that was really cool, and I was really happy and really excited to get a copy of that. So the funny thing with Record Store Day is I almost never go out on Record Store Day. I've never stood in a line. The one good thing about this area is, even though most of the record stores here in this area suck, every one of them does Record Store Day. One of them is two of them actually are really big stores, so they get a huge inventory. And I have literally, there's only been 2 albums that I've really wanted that I didn't get. One was that Typo Negative, which I did end up getting the next Record Store Day. And then another one was one of the Gojira albums that they did a Record Store Day exclusive of. But they only did 2,000 of them. And being a French band, from what I understand, most of those 2,000 were Europe only. So a very limited number came here to the U.S. And that's one of the few that I've never seen go up for a halfway decent price here in the U.S. So, and honestly, I mean, you can get the regular black vinyl version of it for under 30 bucks. So, you know, when I'm so inclined, you know, if I ever feel the need, I'll just go and buy it, you know. But I never really do Record Store Day. I'm not into getting up early and standing in line. Plus, not just that, I usually have my daughter on the weekends, and I just can't do it with her, you know. So I'll usually go 2, 3 in the afternoon and hit 3 or 4 of the record stores that usually have a whole lot of stuff, and I almost always get what I want, you know. I mean, all the main record stores sold out of every single one of these albums that I just showed, with the exception of Vengeance Rising, obviously, because that was online only. But I was still able to get copies of all of them. And then, you know, there's been a couple things that I just couldn't find in the local stores. I'll just go on to Bull Moose and order it from them, you know, because they pretty much always have it. No real Record Day stories. Like I said, I never actually go to the record store for Record Store Day. I usually go a couple hours later, so I haven't had to deal with any crazy people or seen any crazy things happen. I did want to talk about a couple of albums that I am really excited about this year from Record Store Day. Probably the #1 album that I want to get a hold of is the cassette. For those of you who don't know, Metallica is re-releasing, or actually technically releasing for the first time, No Life Till Leather. They're going to release it on cassette for Record Store Day, and from what I understand, they're going to be releasing it on vinyl later in the year as well. So I'd really like to get it on the cassette, but I'll definitely get it on vinyl regardless. But another one I'm really looking forward to is they're going to re-release the Hawkwind self-titled album. I'd like to get a hold of that. Social Distortion, their self-titled album, I'd like to get a hold of. That's why Social Distortion and Dead Kennedys are probably my 2 favorite punk bands. And because I like Psychobilly, you know, Social D kind of ties in with that as well. So those are the 3 main ones that I really want. Some other ones that I wouldn't mind running across are the Blackberry Smoke 10-inch, Blue Oyster Cult. They're releasing the Bad Channels soundtrack on vinyl for the first time. Carcass Choice Cuts, Electric Wizard Time to Die. They're re-releasing Guar's America Must Be Destroyed. I'm not a huge fan of Guar, but there's 2 albums of theirs I really like. It's that one and Scumdogs. So I'm really, I'd really like to get a hold of America Must Be Destroyed. And then the last one I'd kind of like to see is the Mastodon 12-inch of Atlanta. It's a song that didn't make the album. I've heard the song. It's a really good song, and I wouldn't mind having that one. A couple others that if I run across, I'll grab them. There's 2 Sun Ra albums that are going to be released. I don't talk about jazz too much, but there are a couple of jazz artists I dig. Eric Dolphy, Sun Ra, Thelonious Monk, the Beastie Boys. If you don't know about their jazz albums, look them up. They're amazing. But that's pretty much it. Chad, thanks for putting together the contest, and take care, BC.